In April 1970, the Apollo 13 spacecraft was launching on a mission that was scheduled to go to the moon. Three astronauts were to be the third set of astronauts to ever have walked on the moon. But only 2 hours into that flight, a spark ignited two oxygen tanks, blew them out, and suddenly the mission was no longer to go to the moon. It was to try to get the men home safely. So, in those moments, the famous words, "Houston, we have a problem," were spoken. But some less famous words were also spoken on the ground when Gene Kranz, the mission controller, said to all of those around him, "We're bringing them home, and failure is not an option." And so an agreement was made between the mission control team and the astronauts in the air. If you guys will do what we ask you to do, we're going to bring you home safely. And so for the next 6 days, tremendous amounts of work were put in. No one slept on either side for those 6 days. They put together everything they could that was loose inside those spacecrafts to try to ensure that they had oxygen, that carbon dioxide was removed, that there was enough water for them to live on, that the path going around the moon and coming back would truly get them back to Earth. Unbelievable amounts of effort were put in. It was an agreement that both sides would do their part, and in the end, Mission Control would bring them home. Well, as we all know, they got home safely. And this incident of Apollo 13 was looked at as the finest hour that NASA ever had, because they worked together on both sides to solve a problem that appeared to be unsolvable. That agreement was a great example of something that the Bible calls a covenant. It's contractual, but it's more than that. It's a bond. It's a commitment between the two sides to ensure that the mission is fulfilled. And God made a similar commitment to us when man, shortly after his mission was launched, made a decision to separate from God. And in those moments when we certainly had a problem, God made a covenant. If you will do what I ask, I will bring you back home. And so over a series of thousands of years, a series of covenants were enacted that ultimately resulted in the ultimate covenant when God gave himself to ensure that mankind could come back home. He was willing to do whatever it took to ensure that failure was not an option. We stand today as people who are in relationship with God because his covenant came into place. As you look at this week, as you think about what's ahead of you this week, keep in mind the tremendous gift of God and his commitment to us through his covenant that makes eternal life a reality. Have a great week.